is it, Stu Boo? Oh, you're wondering why no one's asked for your autograph yet. Patience, young sloth, patience. Hi everyone, I am Robin, the copy bitch. This is Stuart, Stewie, Goober, the great Stubinsky. Also a little bit of a drama sloth because he wants fans. And today we're going to talk about what is SEO copywriting. I want to make sure I'm very clear and enunciate. SEO copywriting. Okay, let's talk about what copywriting is first, and then we'll talk about what SEO is, and then we'll put them together like a yummy sandwich. Copywriting. Okay, if you follow my videos, you have already heard my very simple basic definition, which I'm sure is going to get the cranky critics all up in, whatever cranky critics feel like. Copywriting at its simplest is writing that sells a product, service, or a cause. If you're a business and you hire a copywriter or a content marketer or a marketing writer or just a freelance writer, you're looking to have that person create compelling content that attracts customers or that keeps existing customers happy, and you're trying to make a sale or you're trying to keep that customer so that they continue bringing in sales. Okay, so that's copywriting at its simplest. My voice just did a funny thing, didn't it? All right, we know what copywriting is. Let's talk about SEO. SEO stands for Search Engine Optimization. You might be thinking, what? Yeah, what does that mean? That doesn't really help, right? Okay, so the best way to explain what SEO is to kind of talk through some examples. And just as a note, if you go to the description below, you will see a link to a blog post on my website. And there's going to be a much more detailed blog post about what SEO copywriting is, and it will include some screenshots and things like that. So I do recommend checking that out in addition to watching this video. And then you're going to have kind of like a complete picture. Plus, I'm going to include some links to some great guides and resources that'll help further your SEO education. Have you ever wondered how Google decides what to serve up after you put a keyword phrase into the search bar? So if you're searching for awesome Chinese food restaurants near me, or coffee shops near me, or where can I buy open-toed sandals, or where can I buy a great bunk bed for a plush sloth? Probably not a lot of searches on that. Ultimately, when someone puts a search into the Google search bar, Google wants to answer that question or solve that person's problem. It wants to give you the best results possible. Well, how does it determine which sites are the best ones? It has this complex algorithm on the back end that looks at dozens and dozens, if not hundreds of different elements on the page and behind the scenes, and how fast the site loads, and mobile responsiveness, and the content, and the keyword phrase. And this algorithm basically works in a way that it then figures out, okay, these are probably the best options to answer that person's question. And you have to admit, when you are doing a search in Google, you often quickly get the right answer or the right thing you're looking for right on that first page, or so you think. If you're looking for a general question like who won the World Series in 1965, that's pretty basic. That'll come up right away. You can trust the information. It'll probably be the MLB site or Wikipedia or something like that. So then you can corroborate and make sure just by scanning that page that it's the right answer. But if it's something more complex, like maybe you're trying to figure out what is SEO copywriting, or you're looking on how to, solve a sticky door lock in your home. Is there a hack for that? Or maybe you're trying to understand the blood tests that were ordered in your most recent physical and what all the different, alphabet soup means, and you're doing deeper, longer searches. Google is trying to satisfy you by giving you the answers and reliable websites and reliable content, and it has a very complex algorithm for determining what to serve up. Okay, so that's kind of a very, very basic and brief overview of how that works. And if you want to read more deeply into it, have at it. Google it. Very meta, right? And you can learn more about that. And I'm not a technical expertise on what goes into the Google algorithm, but that gives you a basic idea. So getting back to search engine optimization, what you can do is you can optimize the content on your website so that it has a better chance of satisfying Google's search algorithm so that when someone is querying in Google about something that your site is talking about, Google might actually choose your site and be like, yep, this is the page I want to serve up based on what the page is about and how well the page is structured, and I think this is going to be the best page that's going to satisfy that searcher's query. Okay, so I just really simplified it because there's a lot more involved, and it's not as easy as I just made it sound, because of course not, right? So SEO copywriting is what helps make that happen. It's not the only thing. There's a lot more that goes into whether a page is going to show up on the first page of search engine results, but the copy is a big part of it. So an SEO copywriter will research the keyword phrases that a potential customer is searching on for your client's, business. Let's pretend your client is the director of sales and marketing for a fictional community called the Elmwood Senior Living. And let's say this VP of sales and marketing decides that they need some help with marketing services, that he's just one person, he can't do it all himself, he wants to actually outsource some of these marketing services. So at first he Googles marketing services, but that just seems like way too broad and he doesn't know what to do. So then he decides to Google senior living marketing services. And that's a lot closer because that search phrase is so specific as to what he needs. He doesn't just need marketing services, he needs services that are relatable to the senior living industry. So he Googles that, some paid ads show up because that's how Google makes its money. And that's a whole separate thing that we can talk about in another video if we ever get through this one. But then beneath those ads will be actual organic listings. And those are some of the sites that are just out there, the marketing agencies that specialize in senior living marketing services. And he sees a couple that interest him, and he clicks on them and he checks out the sites and books some meetings. Okay, so there's an example of search engine optimization at work. And I can say that that's a real example because I actually have a client who is a senior living marketing agency, and senior living marketing services is a phrase that I specifically focused on and wrote blog posts around and service pages around, and that's why for that phrase my client site comes up on the first page of Google. And you might think, well, why did you choose that phrase? Well, I'm glad you asked. So there are keyword research tools that you can use to kind of see what real people are searching on. So those potential customers of the senior living marketing agency, I can kind of do research to see what these folks are searching on and how much search volume it has and how difficult it would be to rank for those phrases. So it's not enough just to find a phrase that has thousands and thousands of searches a month, because marketing services is a broad phrase that has thousands and thousands of searches a month, but it's such a broad phrase. There are so many websites out there that use that phrase. So to possibly, come into the game and rank highly for that phrase at this point is hard. But senior living marketing services, because it's so specific, it has a smaller search volume. It's about 50 searches a month, which doesn't sound like a lot, but still, if you can get those 50 searches to come into your site, and then the site does its job and converts a couple of those into customers, well, you can do the math. The nice thing about that phrase, senior living marketing services, is it's not highly competitive either. And I use keyword research tools that tells me this information. So that kind of clued me in as an aha moment, like, oh, that's a great phrase that we should write some content around. And that's what search engine optimization or SEO copywriting is. You find those keyword phrases and then you expertly weave them into the copy so that it sounds natural. And then you build out a site around a whole bunch of these keyword phrases, and then hopefully over time, as people do these searches, and if the site is built right and it loads quickly and it looks good on mobile and the pages are structured well and the content is really good, meaning it's well written, meaning that the keywords are woven in naturally and they're not stuffed in, meaning that the grammar and punctuation are all good and that there are headings and subheadings and bullet points and it's just easy to read, meaning all of those things are good, there's a good chance that Google's algorithm will eventually be like, aha, I like this site. This is a site that I'm going to serve up to the searcher who is searching on senior living marketing services. Okay, does that make sense? I know it's kind of complicated to think about and to wrap your arms around. That's why I recommend going to my description and clicking on the link to the blog post, because that will basically talk about everything I'm talking about in this video, but in written format, plus I'll have some screenshots of the exact example I just gave you, and that might help you actually see how it all comes together. So as an SEO copywriter, that's what you'll be doing. You will be taking the keyword phrases that your clients, customers, and prospects actually search on, and you'll be creating content around those phrases. As a freelance SEO copywriter, you will be tasked usually with doing the keyword phrase research. And originally, when I started out in 2002, I kind of bristled at having to do that work because it felt really intimidating. And it was a lot more complicated back then. The tools have really improved, and there's so much information and educational tutorials out there on how to do keyword research. And I am in no way an SEO specialist. I would never use that title. That's its own industry. I mean, SEO is its own industry. There are people who are SEO specialists, SEO consultants who work as SEOs, and they know all aspects of search engine optimization. They know not just the content, but they know the back end, the technical SEO, all that. My job is much more specific and it's much narrower. I just focus on the words and the content, which is a big piece, but it's not the only piece. So sometimes when I work with clients, I might actually be given a list of keyword phrases because they have an SEO specialist who's actually done that research, and they just give me the phrases and I run with it. Sometimes I will actually do the keyword research myself. I right now use a tool called SEMrush, which is a paid tool. I think they might have I don't know if they have a free version or if you can do a free trial or what, but you can check out SEMrush. I will link to it. There are plenty of good free keyword tools as well. I will also link to them, so you can choose what works for you. As you're starting out, you might go with the free tool, and then if you do a lot more SEO copywriting, it might make sense to upgrade to a paid tool. And here's the good news. When it comes to SEO copywriting and what makes for really great optimized copy, it's good copy. It's copy that's compelling, that's engaging, that's well written, it's high quality content, you have thought behind it and research. It answers the question or the topic thoroughly. So that's the good news, because more than likely you became a copywriter because you love writing and you love to do a great job at it. So if you can do that, you can do SEO copywriting. Yes, you will have to learn how to weave in a keyword phrase and synonyms, because that's another big thing. It's not just about that one keyword phrase, but Google has gotten really good at understanding context and synonyms. So focusing on that keyword phrase in the copy is important, but also using synonyms and doing so naturally and kind of getting good at how to do that in an expert way, but making it sound natural. The other stuff that goes with SEO, like how to write the page title and the meta description and how to format it, that stuff you can learn. That's learnable stuff. So as long as you can write well and you write good content and you can thoroughly answer the topic that's geared around that keyword phrase, you can do this. It's a learnable skill. I taught myself, I learned it. There's some great resources that I'll link to that will show you how to do it. So SEO copywriting is a big part of the freelance copywriter's world. In some of my other videos, I talk a lot about blogging, and blogging is a big part of my world, but that involves SEO because you're writing that blog post around a keyword phrase. So that is SEO copywriting. That's a part of it. SEO copywriting also refers to the websites that you'll be doing for clients. So if a client comes to you and they want a new website, that's where you take a big step back and kind of look at the whole keyword phrase landscape and understand search, look at competitors to see what the search phrases that they're using, and you kind of do a big competitor analysis and big overall analysis of their keyword research and their keyword strategy, and then from there you can develop the content strategy, you can come up with the sitemap and the structure for the site, and then write the content. So SEO copywriting, big part of your life if you're going to be a freelance copywriter. Even if you work for an agency, you'll be doing lots of SEO copywriting more than likely. SEO writing, you could call it, SEO marketing writing, I'm sure SEO content marketing, I'm sure they're all different various phrases and synonyms, and they all kind of mean the same thing. Even this video is a perfect example of SEO copywriting because I did research in my keyword tool, SEMrush, to see what phrases related to copywriting that people are searching on, the sort of questions they have about copywriting. And one of them was, what is SEO copywriting? So here's me doing a very meta thing by answering that question and talking about it. And the blog post I'll be writing will be saying the same thing. What is SEO copywriting? Now, I think there are like 70 searches a month on that phrase, but it's also a very competitive phrase. So whether my video or my blog post ranks for it, it's only a matter of time. Of course, it'll help if you give this a like, and if you subscribe to the channel, and if you visit the blog post. All of that'll help. So, throw a little love in our way. Seriously though, if you liked this video, I hope you give it a thumbs up and that you subscribe to this channel. I have lots of videos, especially for the beginning copywriter, but I will be getting into topics for more advanced and intermediate copywriters. I am Robin. I am the Copy Bitch. This is Stewie, and we will see you next time. Bye.